Wayne was there. Ralph was stood up in the exec box in the corner, lording over his domain. It was a good occasion, but they gave out an under 11s trophy still. They haven't fixed that part of this.
Yeah, I described it as being something that looks like your local comprehensive would give out on Sports Day. I do think that's a poor reflection. The game's come on well enough now for us to have equivalently smart trophies for our ladies as there are for the men. I don't see any reason not to. It's not like a massive investment, is it? For goodness sake, we ought to do something a bit better.
Talking of like confusing trophy situations, the Shield final had a cup rather than a shield as the prize, but it went to the Huddersfield Giants ladies side, which the final score was Huddersfield 24, Featherstone 22. Now I got in about 20-25 minutes into this game, so I didn't see the start of this game, but what I did see from this game was really exciting, and we saw that there are some star players outside of those top sides. We know that the top 4 or 5 sides are quite a distance ahead of the other sides when they play against each other, but in this particular game they were evenly matched, these two sides. It was thoroughly entertaining game. The Giants jumped out to a 12-0 lead, but then they jumped out to a 6-0 lead, and then it became a 12-6 lead. But Fev, just before half-time and just after half-time, scored a couple of tries, took the lead. I thought that was going to be it then, with experienced players like Hepworth and Dobson in their side. I sort of thought they're going to control this now. They were way more powerful than the Giants side, which had a much more youthful, athletic feel to it than the Rovers side. But it wasn't to be. The right edge of the Giants was, it was like Cudjoe and McGilvery and the Pomp watching Stott and Brown combine down that right edge, and Brown was the recipient scoring the tries. Sade Rahari won man of the match, the halfback, the player of the match, the halfback for the Giants, but she was okay. I would have given it to Erin Stott in the centres for the Giants. In defence, she read everything and didn't miss, and in attack she set up a number of breaks, including some tries down that side. I also was impressed by Bethan Oates from the Giants, so some good players to look out for there.
Good. I didn't see this game.
It wasn't shown anywhere, I don't think. I don't even think it was on our league. I don't know if that's something you wanted to pick up on, maybe, Alan, or anything about how we missed the coverage of this game, which was the most exciting one.
Yeah, I think you can. I think it is on replay on our league if you want to go see it, as is the League One playoff match, which I'd strongly encourage people to see.
And then it was the £1 million game. So we talked about who won Super League just before, but now let's talk about who's going into Super League. It finished Toulouse 34, Featherstone 12. Alan, do you want to give the first fan view on this?
Yep, Carsten from the future says, the game looked done after the first half, but to Fev's credit, they came back strong in the second half. Now it's time for the French clubs to prove their value to the sport.
Pop the Viking says, Toulouse far too good for Featherstone.
Lee Whitnell said, with all eyes on Toronto, Toulouse, like the little train that could, just chugged away in the background towards their own expansion success story. Yet again, the sport finds itself with another golden opportunity. Can we please just not fuck this one up? Well done, Toronto, and thanks to Fev for pulling down their pants and taking one for the good of the game.
Mark Butler says, it'll be interesting to see if we continue to hear about all this not being fair when the promoted team has won absolutely every single game, including home and away against their only team close to them. Featherstone gave it all they had, and their second half display made it interesting for a bit, but I'm not sure there was ever any doubt who was in charge. I completely agree with that one.
Yeah. I watched this one in the original Oak pub in Headingley with Neil Ormston, so yeah, I enjoyed the game, and I'm pleased at the outcome because I'm fed up of Featherstone's whinging and I'm not going to cry for a team that, if they really fucking wanted to have gone over to Toulouse during the regular season, so Toulouse had to play more games, then they really fucking could have done.
Mm-hmm. I'm also delighted because Toulouse is an absolutely gorgeous city with magnificent sausages, and I can't wait to go and see them there.
Toulouse's Magnificent Sausage is definitely a title for the podcast. Just make a note for that one.
Already on it.
Yeah.
What? So, Borat opened the scoring after 6 minutes, didn't he? And then his try on 65 minutes as well. At that point, it felt like the game was done. Although Fev weren't quite done. They came back with the try from John Davies, didn't they? Just after, but maybe the last couple of tries fleshed it out somewhat. However, I don't think that they made the scoreline an unfair reflection of the actual 80 minutes we'd watched.
Yeah,
no, because Featherstone's first try was a blatant obstruction, as clear as you'll ever get, which I can't believe they didn't check.
I agree.
Yeah, it was so obvious that it was almost untrue. But yeah, I mean, for me, Toulouse were always in control. They started well, which was obviously important to kind of settle the nerves. And yeah, yes, it was close, and I know they were trying to make a bit of a game of it in the commentary. But for me, Toulouse were the only team that were likely to make themselves lose this match. I never felt that Fev had the quality to kind of score enough points, because as soon as Toulouse wanted to, and they kind of relaxed and calmed down a little bit, their kind of ball movement was just massively superior. And yeah, but fully deserved their place in Super League.
They got the nerves out of the way last week, didn't they? I suppose to an extent, I think, Toulouse, because in this game they were controlled. They took a lot of penalties to keep the scoreboard ticking over. I sort of thought there came a point where they didn't need to keep doing that anymore, because they should have realised just how in control they were. But they played it like it was a final, because it was. Particularly when Hansen and Casti were on the field, and it's a shame that Casti's announced his retirement and we don't get to see him go round in Super League one more time. Maybe this game wasn't a reflection of his overall performance level at this stage of his career, and he just stepped up. I thought his play in the build-up to the Jussaume's second try was absolutely glorious, and an example of what Toulouse do that other sides don't do. When he sort of got the ball, and instead of just blindly charging it into the line and trying to get a quick play of the ball, he thought, no, at this stage of the game the defences are stretched and tired. He skirted along the line and found a pass, and that led to the ball getting out wide and a try being scored. That's Toulouse Rugby League. That's what Sylvain Hoos gets them to play.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see how they strengthen that squad, because they clearly need it, and B, whether they're able to impose that style of rugby when they come and play in Super League. I hope they do, because it's an exciting watch, and I think it's going to be terrific to watch. The Toulouse Catalan derbies might of themselves be a good enough attraction to go over to France.
Well, one of our friends was over there for this one, actually. Brian Davies was over there enjoying the game, so I'm sure he had a great time. I think a lot of it for me in this game hinged on how good and controlled and in charge of everything Corella, Ford, and Gigo were. I'll be excited to see if Corella and Ford in particular can make that step up on a consistent basis at the next level. There does need to be some investment, I think, in the outside backs and in the forward pack. just because the forward pack's quite old and the outside backs, Jack Hitchcock is leaving because they don't have space for him under the Super League eligibility criteria rules. So we'll see on that. But Justin Sangare is a player who's a young forward who's really developed this year for me and is ready to take that next step up. So there is, and Mathieu Jussaume, whilst he needs to really have a think about his haircut and facial hair.
No, I like it.
You enjoy a bit of Borat in the centres.
I just think there's a certain je ne sais quoi about it.
I think they've got some players of promise there, but in this match they were head and shoulders above Fev.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, yes, their squad needs investment, but I think their squad is already better than Lee's was this year. So,
I think if it's kept together, that's one thing. Lee didn't have any feeling of any continuity at all. I felt this year. I mean, from game to game, they didn't have continuity, but coming into the season, they were still trying to recruit players to play in every spine position. So. I don't think Toulouse will be doing that. I think that's the crucial part. I think that spine will stay in that side. So there's continuity there, isn't there?
It shouldn't be a question, but it feels like it is. Is it an equal split of revenue next year? Does everybody get a 12th of the revenue in terms of TV deal?
I don't know. There's already Super League chairman whinging about less away fans. Well, I mean, I don't see how Super League chairman can talk about that when Castleford took less than 100 to St Helens one game this year. Wigan took about the same to a game away at Hull. Plenty of fucking Super League size fans haven't attended. I know COVID, and I'd not blaming the fans. I'm blaming the clubs for that sort of attitude rather than blaming the fans for not going to games and stuff. There was games I didn't go to this year that in any other season I probably would have gone to. So, I'm not saying that, but yeah, they're already moaning about it. So I bet they'll do the fucking damnedest to make sure Toulouse get less money somehow.
Yeah, well, they've got form. I mean, they will be relying on getting a decent allocation because we've seen that $1 million isn't enough. To form a competitive side, and you can't complain about that if you aren't prepared to give them an equal opportunity in terms of central funding.
No, we absolutely have to give them a. They won't get the luxury Catalans had of 3 years without relegation, because that just doesn't seem to be on the table anymore. So it's almost pointless us kind of pontificating about whether that'd be the right thing or not to do, because it's not going to happen. But they have to get the right level of funding and support, and they have to have the same. They have to be treated exactly the same way that Catalans are in every way in terms of who pays costs for what and who and how much funding they get and all of those things.
I hope to God they don't go ahead with this mad plan of 2 10s and then relegating 3 teams this year or something like that, because that'll put Toulouse under an almost impossible burden before the kickoff, rather like Lee. To say to stay up, therefore you're going to have to finish, in the top 9 teams in Super League. Having just come up is a bloody tall order.
Yeah.
Yes,
can't disagree with that. I think almost across the board, fans think the 2 divisions of 10 isn't the right way to go. But I think almost across the board, the club owners think it's the way to go. So it will happen, and we won't be consulted. And things like the fan engagement survey that was done recently by Think Fan Engagement will be absolutely vindicated, and it shows that the clubs don't listen to the fans, and that's a bigger issue about why we haven't filled Old Trafford than ticket prices.
Yeah, agree with that, Mark. Yep. So that's a show all on its own.
League One promotion playoff final. This one, similar scoreline to the £1 million game. It was Workington 36, Doncaster 12. It means we've got 3 Cumbrian